Sometimes in LaTeX, when we're typing away, we're coding away, and we have our document, and we get stuck. We don't know what to do. We don't know what the code is, right? We can of course Google it, and that is a great option sometimes. So if you ever get stuck and you're just like, I'm just gonna do a quick Google search on something, and you find it out, that's great. What I'm going to show you today is documentation. It's a built-in resource on Overleaf that will help you with any code that you get stuck on. So let's take a look at limits. We didn't talk about limits in our math equations video because knowing that that's something that we use a lot and that it might be difficult to remember the code for that. So I'm going to learn how to type limits. I don't really know the limit code, so I'm just going to type how do you type I'm going to say a limit, right? We don't know. How do we type a limit? Well, I'm going to show you something called documentation. The first thing you're going to do is click menu. And you're going to get all these options. It's going to be a bit overwhelming. You're going to get download, action, sync, settings, right? All of these options. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're going to get a section called help. And it has show hotkeys, documentation, and contact us. We want to look at the documentation tab. So I'm going to open documentation. It's going to open a new tab on my browser, and I'm gonna look at it. So documentation, it says welcome to the Overleaf knowledge base. A complete list of topics is provided on the left-hand side, but here is a section of useful articles. So like start with Learn LaTeX in 30 Minutes guide, right? It has lots of helpful things, languages, advanced tech and LaTeX. Like it's a great resource. It also has all of the sections listed on the left-hand side, so we could go to mathematics. And then look, here it is, limits, right? And we can click that and it'll take us to the article. But maybe if we didn't see that, we can just type in limits into our search bar. And look, first thing we get integral sums and limits. And it's going to take us to the exact section in this article that has limits, right? So this is the article, integral sums and limits, and it took us to content 4, okay? So it also has an example where it uses all of the things it just taught you how to code in a document, in a LaTeX document. So we have an integral, right? We have some other stuff, multiple integrals. We have a sum, some summations, and we have limits. We can copy and paste it into our document, or look, open this example in Overleaf. So if we wanted to, we could just open a new document right now with all of this examples. Right now, we're just looking for limit. So we're just going to go to the limit section. And look, limit expression can be added using the \lim underscore and the inside brackets lower command. Okay, it gives us an example of the code. So limit $limit underscore x to infinity of f of x, $, inside text. And then what does it output? Limit lim x to infinity of f of x, right? So this is exactly what we want right now. So I'm just going to copy and paste this code, and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it right behind how do you type a limit. Copy and paste it. Let's see what we get when we compile. So how do you type a limit? Lim as x goes to, right? Limit as x goes to infinity of f of x. This is perfect. This is exactly what we want. But what if we don't want to take the limit as x goes to infinity? What if we wanted to take the limit as x goes to 4, right? So the first thing you might do is erase infinity and type 4, right? But look what we get. We get an error, and our 4 is missing, right? Our 4 is missing. This is because we have this little backslash here, right? That backslash was there just for the infinity. We don't need it to type a 4, we just needed it to type infinity. So now look, I erased my backslash. How do you type a limit? Limit as x goes to 4 of f of x. And I could change f of x. Let's say that f of x is x to the 4th plus 5, right? Right? And I could just type that and then boom. Like limit as x goes to 4 is x to the 4th plus 5, right? So we can just manipulate the code when we copy and paste it from documentation. Sometimes you might get stuck, right? Because if you don't know that infinity comes with a slash, right? You might have not known that. and then you might get stuck on that. But that's all stuff that you can look up in documentation, and also that comes up with the errors. So when you use documentation, if you ever, like, you might get stuck every once in a while. Look, undefined control sequence, right? That doesn't make sense, but we could go to documentation and we could look up undefined control sequence and find out why. So documentation is a really good tool to help you work through problems. It's not going to give you the solution every time, right? You're not going to just get to say, how do you type this limit into LaTeX and give it your exact limit and it give you the exact code that you want. But you can manipulate the code and make it work for what you're doing at that time.